Oh, that's right, she told us she's excused, you're right.
Yes.
She told us she was gonna be absent.
Last meeting she mentioned it.
You know about Jordan here?
I
She'll
don't
come
know.
when she needs to do this.
Something like that, yeah, ACC. All right, very
She
good.
told you excused, you're.
Excuse me?
No, but it's fine.
Oh, okay. Is anyone online, Zoom?
Doesn't look like it. Nope.
Okay. Make sure Lori or Daniel is trying to get into Zoom.
I'll ask about Daniel, we need to find, I don't know if they have a meeting or something, I know that every now and then they have a conflict with us for meetings.
All right, moving on to item number 1, adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda.
I'd like to amend the agenda
That's okay.
on 8C. To remove that from the agenda.
Second. I think it's just, I'm looking at the old. Yeah,
Which refers to the Austin Creek
Yeah.
tank stabilization engineering.
That's a different one.
8C.
Yeah, see, I gotcha.
All right,
so second, and
thank you. All in favor? Is there a reason we're removing
Yeah, I just need more information.
it? Okay. Yeah, all in favor? Aye. Majority, it is.
I'll abstain, I guess.
Got that, Linda?
Just a minute.
Yeah, no worries.
Got it.
Okay, I get a motion, make a motion for the adopted agenda.
Move to accept the adopted agenda,
section,
amended, adopted,
Amended.
agenda.
Linda and Tiny, all in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Okay, any announcements tonight? Tiny?
I do know, well, technically two. Just want to let you know, remind you that the Recreation Department has launched a survey for recreational sports. So please take a minute and fill it out tomorrow in the e-blast. And also don't forget that tomorrow is the last day to renew your wet and dry slips. Wet and dry slips. After that, the rec department's gonna go looking at the wait list. So make sure if you still want your slip.
Can I ask you a question on that? People that have wet slips only, aren't they required to keep a boat trailer on site in case of emergency?
We made changes, couple meetings ago where we were gonna do that initially. And then we realized that, Sun Valley would not be the ones moving any boats. We would hire a company, so when we realized we needed to have their trailer on. So we went back and revisited, and we are allowing that only.
Any other announcements? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, it's property owner comments. We allow 15 minutes total, 3 minutes per comment. We have any property owner comments?
Yes.
Joseph, come on up and you can say your name and.
Yeah, well, Katie, Grandview Land, been here before. This is my bi-monthly 3-minute lecture. First of all, before you start the clock, I come bearing gifts. I brought a little clock for you guys. It can either vibrate. You don't get shocked with the time, you know. So I'm gonna give it a shot or on vibrate. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. So here we go.
That's perfect.
That's
All
awesome.
right, vibrates and then I'll do that.
Time yourself.
I am. Well, no, you guys will use it and
Well, make sure you can see it, so you know when to.
I can't. I'll blink it.
Go, it's already started.
So I stop it. Now, my time, okay. There we go. Okay. I'm messed up here. Shoot.
All right, your time is up. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm really concerned about a major earthquake when it gets here. I've gone to the board meetings at the water board. They modeled a 9.0 earthquake. Nobody knows for what duration up there for the water tanks. You know, I'd like to ask Wilson Engineering or somebody to do a 9.0 modeling for, the entire lake and everything that goes on here. I don't think they're gonna do it because they'll take an engineering problem, but they won't really take a big situation where it's all speculation. So tonight, what I want to do is focus on two disasters that are historical. One, and look this up, is Lituya Bay, Lituya, Lituya Bay disaster, July 9th, 1958. It was an earthquake that sparked a slash into the water, and I'm constantly looking at the hill across the way down the thing here that went down, cut into the water, and sent a wave up to a height of 1,720 feet. Okay, it's that high. And then it went on and hit 3 boats on in the outlet, 300, 500 feet, 300 feet or whatever. The mechanics of that thing is unreal. I worry that that's going to happen across the lake. We need to factor that in. The second one I would like you to look at is the Viant Dam disaster. It was, I think it's October 3rd, 1963 in Italy, VAJONT or VAIANT, it's Italian. They had built a huge dam there that had been planned since 1920. It finally got built and then it was taken over and it was nationalized. And they said, people were saying, hey, the ground's slipping behind the dam. No, you don't have to watch it. The experts were all wrong. Well, it turns out it finally slipped on the night of October 9th. And there was a guy by the name of Giancarlo Reichman, who was a surveyor who came, analyzed it. The people were pleading with him, notified the authorities, and they could even see it was slipping. And he brought everybody onto the dam and said, this thing's going to go, send them up 250 feet. It cracked at about 10:30. Now, this thing sent a wave up the hill, tsunami in one direction, tsunami in another direction. The one just went up and hit successive all the towns. The one that hit the dam, it's one of the tallest dams in the world, 900 feet. And the height of the water that overtopped this thing, the dam is still standing, was not 850 feet. And the thing went down, went towards the town of Langarone, or think Sun Valley here. The wind pressure in front of this thing blew out all the windows in the town before the water even got there. Hit it, killed 2,000 people, went down, the thing went on. You really need to study these two things because I think we have the potential for it here. Nobody really pays attention to that bank. I think it should be walked north and south and east and west going up the hill to see if there's any cracks. And if you remember last fall, I didn't even know about the Blue Canyon mine. There was a mine explosion that killed 3 people. What am I up to? Is it already vibrated? Oh, no, it just went. Sorry, I see my time's expired. But the last thing is that I'll clear it and you can pass this on with the box and do your thing. Pass that on if you will. There's a box and a cord. And I worry that if a lightning strike had hit the methane gas inside that, it would have accelerated everything. So please look into that. Somebody got a question?
What was the name of the dam?
The dam was the Viant Dam, VAJONT, Viant Dam disaster, or the VAIANT. You can find it different ways. There's modeling, there's witness accounts of what the heck happened. Oh, and Giancarlo Reichman, the guy who was on the dam and told everybody to go up high, they all got killed, all the pros. The thing went down, they found his body 20 miles downstream 5 months later. So this is what the potential is for us here. You got another question?
Yeah, the Latuya Canyon slide. I recall that, was in Alaska.
It's in Alaska.
Father and son on a fishing boat survived that.
That's right.
But I think it's being from Southern California, I think it's pretty safe to assume anything above an 8 on the Richter scale is going to be a long-term event.
It's going to be a what?
Long-term shape.
Absolutely. But if we're modeling the water tower for 9.0, all the water lines are going, the gas lines are going, the sewers are all cracked and stuff like that. Will we get water? This is something we seriously got to consider, have a plan for. But before that, you got to use your mind and get out ahead of it. Good luck to us all. And enjoy the tour.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Chris.
Chris Weitzel, and here to kind of refresh you on the what he kind of talked about. But in 1986, we had a flood that had affected the golf course. The golf course was underwater. Old growth timber was brought down from Gate 5 and across the lake, Smith Creek. A house got knocked off its foundation, it's floated down to the end of the lake, and I can take you down there with my boat and look at it. It's kind of cool. But what happened was, what happened was January 13th, we had a huge snowpack. And then we got like 56-degree temperatures, torrential rain, the combination of the two things. All the creeks around the lake had been logging let me back up. The logging practices before, if a log went across a creek, don't bother, leave it. So there was natural dams on all of the majority of the creeks around this entire lake. It took roughly 2 years hiring a company to get the logs out of this lake. There's pictures in the Bellingham Herald that shows like about 30-foot high piles of logs down at Blodell Donovan. So when he talked about that, I just couldn't sit there and not say it wasn't as bad, but we did have literally strips of trees just like that just slipped, bam, and you can't see it now, but it was very obvious before. So thank you. Okay.
Good, thanks, Chris.
The trees.
Well, with the destruction of Sun Valley, mine seems rather trivial, but. Jen David, 10 Gooseberry Circle. A request memo for this meeting was edited after being posted on the website, presumably as a result of members having concerns about the misuse of the words member and membership, both of which have legal meanings for SVCA. The wording about agendas is, I consider, a bit unclear in our bylaws, but it seems like the intent is that the agenda should be posted 48 hours before the meeting so that the board and members have enough time to read and digest the information before the meeting happens. If we can't trust that what we read in the original agenda is what the board will be seeing and acting on at the meeting 2 days later, that is a problem. It could be the difference between whether or not a member feels it's necessary to make a comment prior to the meeting, and in my opinion, no changes should be made to the agenda or to any of the request memos within the agenda once it's posted, but only during the actual meeting. But my main reason for speaking tonight is that I'm disconcerted at the seemingly random way that fees are sometimes set in this association, often without valid underlying data. The GM is, for good reason, looking for a way to solve the issue of non-residents paying only the monthly rate for the gym and then using the pool without paying for it. And I would not call that inadvertent, by the way, but maybe you want to be nice. So let's consider this. In 2024, non-resident adults paid $600 a year for gym access alone. But due to the decreased rate that the board approved for 2025 this year, they now pay only $420 per year for the gym. $600 last year, $420 this year. Let me know if I got the numbers wrong. I don't think I did, but. So under the new proposal, they will pay $580 per year. So they will pay less for the gym plus full pool access in 2025 than they paid for the gym access alone last year. That doesn't make any sense. I think the problem is we never have data. We make decisions based on guesses and anecdotes and feelings. How many non-residents do we even have using the gym? How many are sneaking into the pool? A few? A lot? Does it matter in the end? Is it such a trivial amount of money that it doesn't have any bearing on it? Or is it a bigger number that's a loss to our revenue? We have to have the information in order to make those choices. This happens a lot at the committee level and the board level. And I'm not blaming anybody because I know that a lot of data is thrown at you guys and you have like a short period of time to sort of process it and figure out what's right and what's wrong. But we have a big staff who has time to gather data if we make gathering data part of their job description. Last, where is the new org chart? Do we have an operations manager? Is our rec manager, sorry, well, if I have this right, you were the operations manager, is that right? Staff, okay. So that's what I thought was operations manager, chief of staff, I don't really know. But, so now Kyle is our recreation manager, but is he still making the salary that he was making when he was the chief of staff? Oh, that was my time?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I thought that was somebody's phone.
Sorry.
That's scary. So anyway, yes,
That happens to be
please
mine.
give us the information about who's working for us, how many of them there are. What is the tree? What are the positions? We need to know these things. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any other property owner comments? Spencer, anyone online?
Nope.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, thank you very much. Moving on, we're gonna move on to item number 4, it's approval of the meeting minutes for 2/13/2025.
I'd like to make a motion for the board to approve the draft board meeting minutes from 2/13/2025 as submitted.
Second.
That was Rob.
Yep.
Thank you, Rob. All in favor?
You're gonna abstain?
Stu and AJ both.
But it passes.
You ready? Linda, you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I just need it still passes, but I need to note the abstention.
All right, moving on to item number 5, we've got the GM report. Michael?
David, that's better one. So I'll read a portion of it, and I'll stipulate to the majority of it because it is on the website and in your report packets, so. But I had a little word at the beginning that it was going to be also picked up in the view. So as we transition from winter into early spring, our teams were really working hard preparing the community for the warmer months. Despite February snow and icy conditions, our maintenance and turf care crews diligently kept the roads clear. I was impressed. Maintaining essential facilities, and they actually made progress on several key projects. The marina renewals underway, the golf course improvements progressing, and critical infrastructure planning in motion, we're laying groundwork for a successful and productive year. As always, we appreciate the community support, certainly the board and the volunteer committee's engagement, and keeping Sun Valley a great and thriving place to live and enjoy. Capital projects, as you may know, the top dresser replacement. That asset is on this agenda. That'll be the last equipment purchase for golf this year. And again, we front load those in the year because, of course, someone had a lead time for ordering, and Greg and team want to have them up and running when a golf course is
That is a meeting down to 30 minutes. The adult center HVAC and tank with water heater replacement, those final inspections were completed. The water heater has been installed, the final inspection is scheduled for next week. So clubhouse HVAC design and permitting, the design is complete, the permit applications which were submitted as planned in October. We're waiting for the permit to be issued, and at that time we'll bring it to the board. Currently, however, that surf line item is probably going to be a little light. So we'll have to take a look at that. And our options, of course, everything is not up in cost. How light? Sorry. How light? Well, lighter. Probably about 50,000.
Well, light.
Yeah, 50, about 50. Yeah, we'll get the final number. Yeah. 20 ton unit, and I think the encouraging part of our concerns about having to tear down walls or things like that to get the units in, not going to be a problem. They will be able to navigate, but that will have a discussion on when that comes up on the agenda. Very good. Bridge design, design's underway. We expect to submit with a permit in March. This Department of Fish and Wildlife permit application has been submitted. Now we're going to wait comments before submitting it to Whatcom County, but we do have from the PNW the initial for the culvert 4 and the bridge replacement, and those it's going to be 1.2 billion. So those are coming up. They're big ones.
The upcoming maintenance capital requests, these you'll see are on their agenda, so I won't go line by line through them. And of course, all of this will be in the news, and if the board has any questions, let me know, otherwise you can stipulate to it. The last page on page 12 of 78, of course, red bottom tracks our rainfall, so we're definitely lower in rainfall at this point in the year than we were last year.
That's good, we were up before.
Correct, yeah, February, up to the 4.83 inches compared to almost 12 inches last year.
But unfortunately, we had that snow and it froze for so long, right? It kept the golf course closed for a week or two and.
Exactly.
Wow.
And we had a weakening of more trees with the rainfall we did get. We had to take 3 big trees down on Clubhouse yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them, Mike and I went out and looked at them and they were heading toward the condo. And so we got overalls and that'll come out of the operating budget, but we had to get those trees out. There was a third one that was a hazard, but the 2 were, when I saw them, Mike, they had moved, they were leaning like this. Well, both of them would hit the condos and would have closed the road for sure.
Yeah, I heard you say it's in the middle of the, okay.
You're in the middle of the road there. And we will get a little timber sales out of those. They're beautiful straight trees. But
Now that they're down, they're straight. Do you have any questions regarding the report? Okay,
There's,
oh, we got one, Tom.
regarding trees, there's a tree I see through my kitchen window. And it's right on the corner of the creek, across the 10th fairway, and it lines up perfectly between 2 trees in my backyard. So I've been watching this thing for years. And I've gone over and looked at it, and the creek is starting to undercut the tree. And I went over and looked at it yesterday. It's not leaning as far as the trees I can see, but it's starting to lean towards my house. Which is not going to affect my house, other than when it falls, and it's going to get undercut to the point when it's going to fall. It's going to fall right down the middle of the creek. And create a huge dam. It happens during a big rain.
Tom, send us a photo of Mike.
Yeah, I brought some photos today.
We'll take a look at it. Is it on golf course, the common area, or with your back?
No, it's on the golf course.
Okay, great.
Yeah, right on tap their way in the creek.
We'll certainly get somebody looking.
Ray,
It's also a real nice straight timber.
Ray, you have a question?
Just curious, how tall are these trees that you just took down?
2 of them were 140 feet, really big ones. Wow. The third one was only about 80.
Oh,
Yeah, they were 24 to 38 inch.
Wow.
Yeah, they were big ones. Good lumber.
so the roots got wet, and that's what's making.
You know what, we couldn't tell, but what the tell is on the side away from the repose is the ground swelling. So you can see the root balls were trying to come up and we were, all I had was pictures of the common next to us. Yeah, so good move, thank you, good move there.
If I'm not mistaken, I think part of what affects those trees that are in the 2-way is all the traffic too, that travels, when you have big dump trucks and that sort of thing. It
Vibration.
moves the ground, it's the vibration that also affects them and can weaken their root balls.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairman.
All
All right, moving on to number B, 5B, is the financial report. Joel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, and then I'll pitch it at the end here.
Did you make Joel co-host?
Yes.
Okay. You were sure to be there. Thank you.
I can set a timer for them.
Thank you, Joel.
No, it's not, she could like, no.
There you go.
Yeah. I just put Zoom on this, up here, so. I'll go say. You can drag it without a little bit. So I'm going to be covering the December 2021 financial statements. Obviously, these are the most interesting ones because it's the entire year of 2024. Anyone who saw the finance committee meetings is basically going to be a replay of that. So what you're looking at right now is the balance sheet. So I will start with that. Now, last month when I talked about, I'll just go ahead and highlight this prepaid. So what you're looking at here highlighted prepaid golf memberships. And so you can see at the end of December 31, 2023, they had about $112,089 prepaid golf memberships. This is the prepaid revenue that people pay, like annual green fees, park rental, storage fees, so on and so forth. And so Kevin collects this October, November, December of the year, the previous year. And you can see at the end of December 31, 2024, it was also $112,307. So it's actually a couple $100 higher than what it was at the end of 2023. So it was fairly comparable. So at least it didn't go down. And then obviously all these prepaids get recognized immediately on January financial statements. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just skip ahead to the balance sheet here. Excuse me, the income statement. This is the most interesting one. Basically, our consolidated income statement rolls up all the departments together. And I'll skip right here to the bottom line. So we had operating net income of close to 306,000, as you can see at the end of 2024, which is good. Obviously, we budget to have a zero for the revenues equal the expenses. So anytime we have more revenues and expenses, obviously that's what we're hoping. So we had $306,000 of operating net income. And you can see our collection rate was 97.9%. We budget for a 95% collection rate for 2024. And that's same thing for this year as well. The budget year 2025 is also budgeted for 95%. But so we came in at 97.9%, which basically what that means is operations, you can see, took an additional $82,395 to operations alone because of coming in over budget. Better than budget, I should say. Now, in terms of SERP, so SERP took in an additional $49,397. Roads took in an additional $50,326. Mailboxes took in, small amount, 913. So we don't collect as much for mailboxes, but obviously that's good because that'll help offset some of the money that was spent for that November bomb cyclone. And speaking of that, so as I said last month, in December, when I did the November savings, but I was basically talking back to December when the board, because that November bomb cyclone event, so they approved to be spent out of the SERP fund, $251,424, out of the roads fund, $228,131, to spending motion for that. No, and this is spending to be related only to the November storm event. And so you can see right here on this regulatory compliance line item right here, this is where like hazardous tree expense will show up from operations. But you can see the capital column right here, year to date, there's our total expenditures through basically November and December. Obviously, that's basically a month and a half from the November bomb cyclone through the end of the year, 290,809. And additional, so we spent 290,809 out of the roads fund. It was 226,696 at the end of 2024. Out of the SERP fund, it was 64,113. And then if you're curious how much more we spent, obviously it's going to be SERP expenditures at this point, but through February, so far to date right now, we spent about 33,000 also in SURF. So I mean, so the spending on this SURF November bomb cyclone event is obviously really cutting down at this point. So we're gonna come in under, in terms of total expenditures for the SURF portion of this. Now, in terms of, of course, I pointed out the collection rate. So it's 97.9% at the end of December 2024. Is at the end of December 2023 is 97.9% as well. Actually, we were just a little better because December 2023 year to date was 97.93 to be exact. And then the end of 2024 is 97.95. So it's like, so we actually did better than last year. Last year was like your best year. So the collection rate is doing really well. Now, I've already calculated the collection rate for January 2025. So it's now January is always our lowest month in terms of collection rate. So for January it's 92.7%. Now keep in mind January 2024 is 93.7%. January 2023 is 92.2%. So where I'm going with this is January 2023 we had a 92.2% collection rate, but we finished out the year at 97.93% in 2023. Now obviously 2024 is 93.7%. In January we finished out, as I said, 97.95%. So don't be alarmed that the collection rate right now in January is less than the collection. We always start out lowest in January, then we essentially work up from there for 2012. Obviously, since I already said, since we budget for zero, revenues equal expenses, anything since we had $305,870 in operating net income, then we'll have a $305,870 in better than budget to operating net income. And I talked about this from month to month. I guess I'll go ahead and point it out. I talked about the expense to revenue ratio, which is just basically giving you a percentage of expenses to revenues at the end of December. 2024 is 93.7%. So what that means is for every dollar of revenue that we had 93.7 cents of expenditures. That's what that means. And then the end of December 2023 is 94.8%. So obviously, our operating net income was higher than it was in 2023. So that rate will be better. Obviously, in this case, we want that ratio to be less. Now let's go ahead and just skip forward to the next page, the capital reserve page. And this is showing us, obviously, as I talked about this every month, it's giving you a snapshot of all of the capital reserve funds. So we have, the SURF fund, the roads fund, mailbox fund. Those are the main ones that especially show up on the reserve study. Those three show reserve study. We have the emergency ops fund. And this is obviously the most probably talked about on outside of certain roads, it's the UDR. And you can see it just giving you just a real vast crash course in this, which I do every month anyway, so I'll skip through this real quick. But obviously what we got served, it starts off with the amount of dues collected during the year. And then we have interest income here, 26,262 interest income. We have some asset sales. Here are the two major transfers. So they're board approved transfer for that marine dock replacement, 105,600. That came out of ops and went into SURF from the 2023 surplus. And then we have that 40,000 that library lease written in the field, where we took in the 40,000 and transferred that into SURF for the HVAC. And then you have all the expenditures. So as I talked about, these are basically the checks that were cut and went out the door to pay for all the approved projects right here. And also, as I pointed out, what we spent on treaties for SURF, 64,113. So obviously the SURF fund, the cash fund dropped by that as well. So that obviously because it comes out of the SURF fund. And then you'll see the allocated expenses. This is the most interesting line item on here. This is just this to show, and I'll just go ahead and which you have this in your board packet. So we're looking at the capital project report for SURF. There's that 1,005,545 here. And this is just showing you all the projects that the board has approved. You can see there's that hazardous tree removal right here. That was approved on December 12th, 187, or excuse me, the 251, 424, and then there's a spending at 64,113. We have 187,311 that could potentially be spent out of that as well. Then if I go to the next page, the roads projects page is the exact same thing. There's that obligated amount, 158,651. So all the current projects that are open right now, the amount that we, if we were to cut checks, up into the board approved amount for the open project, then we could potentially issue $158,651 more payments, to meet all the project budgets. It could come in under budget too. And obviously, if the board deobligates something, so if we were to deobligate hazardous trees, then once that goes away, then obviously then the obligated expenses go down, which frees up cash as well. And you can see the last page, here's the UDR page, it ties back to the UDR fund. I did throw this last line item on there since the executive committees did approve this, and then immediately at the December meeting, then they deobligated it, and that's literally what this note down here is talking about. So if anyone wanted to go back and look at that to, like what went on with this, that note explains what the execs did and what the board did at the time, and how now that's being spent out of the roads fund. Those all tie back to these obligated expenditures. There's the roads and there's the BDR fund budget. So, and then if we go back to circle equipment, obviously then this is the board recommended carryover balance, meaning it's the amount that we would not like to fall below 600,000 in this case for sure. So once we subtract that, then at the end of December, then we have available for, for allocation or for projects in the future, 1,466,804 for sure. Now, in terms of year over year, so at the end of December, at 2023, it was 1.37 million, so slightly went up. And this is just a function of, like I said, dues coming in and the amount of projects that the board is approving. All of these numbers also tie back to the capital report, meaning so when we do the capital budgeting, these numbers work into the capital budgeting once we get budgeting season. So there's a relationship with that with budgeting. And so the roads fund has 1.23 million, 235 million essentially, because it has that $500,000 board recommended carryover balance. Roads at the end of 2023 was 1.36 million. So roads is down from the year before. Like I said, it's just a function of dues coming in when the board approves projects. So, okay, go ahead.
So just a comment on the CERC funds. It was about 100,000 more than last year, December 23 versus December 24. But can't we attribute that to the 105,000 that?
Yes, all of that works into it. Yeah. So any cash coming in here, like Rick said, funds being transferred from board approved transfers, that contributes to it. So if that didn't happen, then that would be less than 545,600. And also if we didn't come in better than budget on the collection rate, the CERC would have been lower by close to 50,000 as well, cash wise. So all of that, yes, let's into it. But you can see UDR right here, $275,095 at the end of 2023 is 291,197. But this is the same thing. This is up to board approval of whenever they approve a project to be spent out of UDR, like last year with stuff like trees, GM search, so on and so forth, those types of things, all chip away from UDR balance. And like I said before, the UDR balance, I'll just say a little quickly. The money that goes into UDR will be like, for example, now we're in 2025. So anyone who pays dues related to 2024, like past due balances, 2024 and earlier, the operating portion of those dues payments goes to UDR. The CERC roads mailbox goes to the respective funds, CERC roads mailboxes, but the operating portion of past years dues payments go to UDR.
How is emergency ops funded?
So this is just, at this point, emergency ops is going up just by interest alone. So unless the board actually makes a decision to move some money into there.
There's not a normal stream that goes in there, the board would have to.
Yeah,
No, so in a sense, is that, has the board historically considered that much like the carryover balance of 600 or 500,000 for surfing roads? Kind of for UDR.
I guess in that roundabout sort of way they do, like the policy I believe on this one says it's, you know, supposedly going, it's there to cover a couple months worth of operating expenditures. You know, with 363, almost 364,000 cover a couple months of operating expenditures. No, unless we really tighten our belt, then sure. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we really cut things down. But that, yeah, to get that balance up, the board would just have to transfer money in. So. Now, the last page that I'll talk about, and we'll be done with this is, which I'm gonna skip over this page, this income statement page, only covers the month of December, so we're interested in the entire year. And what you're looking at is, like I point out every month, it's just the income statement, but you're looking at it from the departmental level, what department contributes to that bottom line. With that 300. There's a 305,870 right here, and you can see the net income loss from each departments. Obviously, most departments would be a loss since they're not revenue generating departments, with the exception of stuff like golf and marina. And since we're talking about golf, I'll just go ahead and highlight this. So as you can see, golf right here had revenue year to date through 2024 for the entire year of 1,424,436. At the end of 2023 was like the best year ever. They had revenue of 1,468,110. So the revenue is down by 43,700, real close to 43,674. So that's given the fact that last year was the best year I believe they've ever had, that's not too bad. In terms of their expenditures, so it's going to be this all the salary expenditures, payroll costs, 818,914 plus all other expenditures, 445,684. That comes out to 1.265 million, 1,264,598. The year before that, the expenditures were 1,221,397. So the expenses have gone up by 43,201 over 2023. But obviously it's going to happen just by virtue of just the CPA alone, the salary costs going up and just the inflation in general, the driving of the costs. So the bottom line for golf is they had operating income of 159,838. The year before that, in 2023, is 246,713, but obviously what's feeding into that is some lower revenue and some higher expenditures this year over last year. For marina, we'll touch on that real fast. So we have $248,110 for marina revenue. At the end of 2023 is 188,297. What's affecting that is obviously the increase in the marina rates for those dock slips. So that's an additional close to 60,000 over 2023. In terms of their net income, 233,726. Year before that, the end of 2023 is 176,000. So it's an increase of close to 50,000. Obviously, this is related to increase dock slip revenue or fees. But I think for the most part that pretty much covers the highlight of the 2024 year-end financial statements. Ben had any other questions on these? Sure.
I'm gonna say, looking for it.
So I just want to clarify something in my mind. I think I'm right about this. We're going to look at the income statement. And I'm assuming this 97.9%, this 82,000 $395, that's all the extra that we got from collecting above 95%, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
So in reality, we all need to be looking at the fact that if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have $305,000. We'd
That's
only
right.
have around $225,000.
Yeah, that's right.
That's, the other question I have is on the SURF projects page, and I'm looking at the barn refurbishment. And I'm looking at the dates on this, that there's 659 left. Where did we, and we haven't accounted for when we took the money out of there for the structural study. So is there really the 659 left? There's nowhere, the only dates we have are in 22, 23, and 23. In 24, we said that we would take so much of that money and put it into that structural study, and I don't see that anywhere on here or indicated on that line item anywhere.
So these are, like, each one of these are all the three separate board motions for, obviously, the 10/27/22 when it got originally created, and then two additional ones that increase the approved spending on this.
But then in 24, we said we altered the project and we took what? How much was that? 100? I don't know off the top of my head. How much we spent for the whole structural study? That's not accounted for anywhere in our survey.
Meaning like this right here, this $659,045 left over.
Yeah.
That's not maybe a couple thousand, like in 2025, but those are all the expenditures that were coded to that project.
Then how come that there's not a date? When you look on the line of date approved, there should be a date in 2024 where we took some more of that money for the structural study.
Shane, where's the invoice from Kingsworth that they did the structural survey on here? Where did that invoice end up landing? That should have came out of barn 8 refurbishment.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that it did that 659 total included that's already removed, but yet then it's saying over here the dates are approval dates, there's no approval date for that money to be used.
See, here's the thing, but did that approval that you're talking about, did that approval say to increase that project code?
No, it just said that we would take it out of the money that was left at that time.
Yes, so that's why that date isn't reflected, and it doesn't increase like the budget.
So this total is accurate.
That's
correct.
It is accurate and I'll take a look.
Yeah.
I was just concerned because normally we have all the data where anytime we've approved to increase or decrease
Yeah.
that amount, and there's nothing in 2024 in there.
If that motion said to increase that project code for additional spending, additional budget amount of X amount, then.
No, just to take it
Yeah,
from the existing amount to pay for it, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so
All that in there is kind of,
So
does
like,
it exist?
so like if the board just said, let's do this study and we'll just expense it out of this project, then it'll get in there as soon as it's invoiced and coded.
Okay, I'll go take a look.
Nice. Any additional questions? All right, hearing none. Did I miss one? No, okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on. Actually, Joel, you're gonna stay on right now because what I wanna do, we have nothing in continuing business, which is item number 6. And then in new business, we have consent agenda items, and we have A through J. We're gonna regroup this a little bit. And Joel, I'd like to give you, if you could, a brief explanation of A, B, and C, because the finance committee did not get a chance to see these, and I know there's general housekeeping, but if you could just kind of tell the board, and that way we could probably include it in our consent. So in particular, contract approval for A, year 2025, over the 2 Onsite reserve study, and then the corporate resolution for signing, and then the approval request for the timeline.
Sure. So I'll do the level 2 study first.
Yeah, I'm sure we all know what it is, but just, you know, you can really quick just touch on it, and then that way we can.
Yeah, this is the level 2, so we have to do a level 2 and on-site every 3rd year, that's what we have to do, so. Yeah, we did the level 1 in 2022 for the 2023 budget year, so level 1 was done then the next years are followed by level 3, so now we're back, now we're up again for level 2.
I just say full reserve study.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it says on their page.
No, that's. You know, the funny thing, when I got this quote, you know, I actually called the research study specialist because I saw that and I thought, no, I would ask a question about that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm ready for that question. So the full reserve study plus pro plan, this is basically this is their description for an on-site show up to the facility. So like he said, yes, that is, in all intents and purposes, that's a level 2, meaning like they could go in and change the description of it. Yeah, whenever they show up for an on-site type visit, that's the description. So this is the correct description of the correct price for the level 2 plan.
Good.
And yes, so now what it is 9,970, it's all inclusive, it's covered with travel fees and everything to come out here and spend time on it here and do whatever measurements, whatever, you know, everything that we needs to look at.
Alright, then your resolution, you ask them for to be done, your officers, you have that? Okay, if not, so this is just a corporate resolution for the association for signing authorities, and we needed this for Rick, is that correct?
Because Rick is to change the treasurer from Lori to Rick.
Oh, yes. Right, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Yeah, so now what this is, remember last year when I brought this to you guys, and basically this is just. Now the bylaws say that you guys have all this stuff in this sense, but now the reason why this was done originally was because once in a while I run into a problem with a bank, especially when I'm doing signature cards. And they're like, well, we need to see a board resolution. And I'm like, look, it's right here in the bylaws. See, it's right here and here and here. And then they're well, okay, we'll do it this time. And next time, you know, we better have a resolution. And so this is literally why this resolution is being done. So we did this last year, and then last year when I said whenever we have to switch, in this case now we switch to Rick. Now we just swap out a name and just re-sign it, and because the language in here says that it supersedes the last one. That's what this is. The one, well, this definitely goes to the bank. And not to the bank, but it will go to the bank. And whenever we close on things like property or whatever, this also really comes in handy here. It just eliminates all concerns that we just.
All right, excellent. And then the last thing you had on here was your approval request for the 2024 business tax return file for Larson Gross.
Yeah, this is with this would have accompanied the autumn engagement letter, but Larson Road did not have the template ready yet because it was so early in the year, so that's why it's showing up separately this month. There's no stated fee in the letter, unlike the engagement letter, you know, had a stated fee.
This is the parameters.
Yeah, it just.
There's one,
Go ahead.
there's one thing in here that's upsetting, and I'll talk about this when we looked at their auditing letter. And it's the last paragraph above the taxpayer consent, and it says accepted, which once again, it says, it's on page 33 and 78. If you agree to allow Larson Gross to disclose your tax return information, including your SSN, to team members located outside of the United States for purposes of providing assistance in the preparation of the 2024 entity income tax return, please check the corresponding box below, provide the information requested below, and sign and date your consent to the disclosure of your tax return information. We don't have anything that's overseas that they would need.
Well, here's the good thing about this situation. Obviously, this is a boilerplate type language that we use. However, since we're a nonprofit and a tax exempt entity, so like when you see SSN, Social Security number, obviously we have to put an identification number, which takes the place of that. But since we're, nonprofit, tax exempt, our tax returns are open for public disclosure. So they're right on the website, and it's out there for the world to see. Anyone can go on like the database report or website, the government database, or GuideStar, I think it's called. So this wouldn't really be as much of a concern for us. This would probably be more of a concern for like a private citizen,
It's just concerning, because it never used to be in any of their stuff, and now it's all over it.
Yeah, and this is, like I said, this is also legal boilerplate.
I get it, it's just, I have a question, where is the funding gonna come from the reserve? I know where the audit comes from, and I know where the tax prep does. Where does the reserve study, the funding from that come from out of the ops budget?
Yes, so all three of those things come out of the accounting budget, it's, 7,000 in audit.
You just need to know then you're over.
Yeah,
You have 49,000 in there, and this all comes to 51,470, that's all. If you take the reserve study, the audit, and the tax return.
Yeah, so I project that it could be probably over by 2026.
Yeah, and then there's if they have any of those little weird little things where they charge us like $500 a pop.
Yeah, now I look back at the last billings, for the audit and tax, and it was exactly what they quoted to us.
Yeah, there was one I think Lori and I looked at when she was treasurer, and she went, why are they charging us this amount? It's because there was a correcting entry they need, I think it was maybe the year before.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I understood that this was all coming out of that same line item, because maybe we need to increase it.
Yeah.
When we consider for next year.
Right, oh, yeah, and we will, so back in June, when we set this up, of course, we don't know what increase they might put on the next year's engagement. I can tell, like, for example, in 2023, the audit fee quote was 35,000, that's exactly what they billed. Then it went up to 37,500, so. And last year, they also quoted 4,000 for the tax return, that's exactly what they billed. So if I apply that same percentage increase to this, then given what the end, that we know the reserve set at 9,970, that's why.
I'd rather have more in there and have a little bit to give back than have to put some more in.
Yeah,
Will level 3 next year be the less than level 2?
yes, it will.
So it won't be 99.
That's right.
All right, thank you, Joel, I appreciate that. So hopefully that cleared up any questions you might have on A, B, and C. Now, D, E, F, G, H, and I are all capital requests that are already in our reserves, and I'll let Rick really quick talk about that. They did all of your finance committee, so Rick, let us know your thoughts on these.
Thank you. Yes. So these are right out of our reserve study. So we have the finance committee did review the capital request for design and permitting for 2026 road projects. So it always takes lead time to get those done. So we do the permitting this year, we do the work next year. The capital request for potholes and minor road repairs, it's just right off the reserve study. For the fast response for unforeseen drainage, we get heavy rain, snow, whatever, right out of the reserve study. Same for on-call engineering services, and for pavement striping and street sign repairs, another one right out. And then the capital request for the ditches, culverts, and swales. Also, we did not have the opportunity to review the turf care equipment top dressers, so, but I can tell you that the finance committee, after reviewing these, made the recommendation that these be approved, and we
For the turf here?
for, no, I'm sorry, for D, E, F, G, H, and I.
Okay. Okay, so then what we'd like to do is move J off of this. I know it says on consent agenda, but we're gonna pull J out and talk about that separately. And to get that real quick, right now, I'd like to do new business, make a motion and do a consent agenda for A through J, or A through I, excuse me. A through I.
I'd like to pull G,
G,
yep. Modify the amount to make it exact.
okay, we'll pull G out. So we'll do A, B, C, D, F, H, and I. Is the motion? All in favor? Or I need a second, excuse me, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, that's Rick for the second. Okay, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous. All right, now we're pulling Sorry, the G, yes, G.
Yeah,
All
on
G.
page 48, starts on 48.
The G is our capital request, purpose to request funding for approval of on-call engineering service for 2025. Okay, go ahead, Linda, what was your?
The only thing that it is they put in here approximately $2,000. We've got the capital reports from Joel that we received. And I believe it was exactly $3,347. And I simply would like to amend it to say that move that the board of directors approve the balance of funds in the capital code, the 9924.2, $3,347 be added to the 43,264 and capital code 99242 to be closed out with a zero balance. I just think as long as we know what that exact number is and it's rounded, we should just simply make it all of it, not this approximately $2,000.
Is that number right? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
What I said, that sounds good.
It looks like this one on here, it has been amended from the original, because if you look at page 49, it does say to be closed out with a zero balance on motion 2.
Yeah, and it's weird, because it's like, it's, you know, but I think we should clarify that that's the 3,347. Because before that and the rest of it, they refer to about $2,000.
Yeah, and that's not, yeah, oh, here,
That's all.
also, yeah.
That's all, just being a little bit more succinct about what's being taken.
I was trying to cover all the bases. Yeah, so that's why the motion 2 said just the balance of the fund. So,
Yeah.
but Linda, thank you, that
You
is
want to be precise, yeah.
back number.
Linda, do you have that written down?
I certainly do.
Okay,
Whenever you're ready to do motion 2, I'm there. You have to do motion 1 though first.
well, don't you want to do it?
Oh, I
You
can
want
do
me-
that, okay.
I'll do it, I'll do motion.
No,
one.
no,
Okay, you go ahead.
all right.
You do
So
it.
on capital request 2025 on-call engineering services, motion 1, move that the board of directors approve the allocation of $43,264 from roads for on-call engineering services in 2025, with funds to be administered by the maintenance and facilities manager.
I'll second. All in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, Linda, want to?
Motion 2,
Yep,
move that the board of directors approve the balance of funds in capital code 9924.2, $3,347 added to the $43,264 and capital code 9924.2 to be closed out with a zero balance.
Second.
thank you, Tony. Did you have a question? Did someone have a question? I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous.
Unanimous? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you for
That took care of G. Okay, we're gonna move on to J, the capital, J is the capital request for third repair equipment.
Top dresser.
Mr. President, I'll present for like this is to request funding approval for the replacement of SNIP 1045, which is the old kite rock, and it's 400 fairway top dresser and fin spinner. And that existing machinery, reached the end of its useful life, it requires replacement. Purchased in the 80s and been heavily used, that's a great piece of equipment. Say that one. Kite rock no longer manufactured, so the schedule to be replaced this year with a replacement figure of $32,448, which is not quite sufficient to pay for the recommended piece of equipment. However, the repair and golf superintendent and Dan would like you to consider the Turco C20 top dresser for the replacement in the amount of $46,500 plus tax, total $50,592. The estimated replacement fund for the top dresser is short for replacement. We propose that the board of directors take $18,144 from the phase 2 park path repairs line scheduled for 2025. The amount estimated for that repair is $54,080. Doing so, we need balance of 35,963 in that line item. Allowing them to replace the top dresser and still, in
Makes
and
sense.
you still do the carpet repair, so without going, but, so again, it's a two-part request and, the board can consider that. It's a great piece of equipment, by the way.
All right, the first request is that the board of directors allow the funds of $18,144 to be taken from the 2025 surf park path repair line to complete the purchase of the 2025 Turco CR20 fairway top dresser.
Second.
Well, that wasn't a motion, I was.
Just request, okay.
So I'll just go ahead and write, because it's the same thing, the motion's the same thing, I'll just read the motion. So the motion number one is reallocate $18,144 in capital funds from the 2025 surf park path repair line to the top dresser asset number 1045 line item to complete the purchase of the 2025 Turco CR20 fairway top dresser. Now, Linda.
Second.
No, you're gonna, okay,
No,
I guess I need the motion.
Make a motion.
I did, okay, this is the second, okay, all in favor?
Discuss?
Any questions?
So,
Rick,
so the cart path repair plan, it was a 3-year plan. We're doing roughly $50,000 a year. We started last year. We're gonna do the second phase this year and the third phase next year. Is that gonna create, I mean, we're gonna have to catch up somewhere. We're gonna have to allocate those additional funds at some point. Costs are just gonna go up. Would we be ahead to take that out of SERP and keep our 50,000 kind of on plan for
Yeah.
cart path repair, or I'm just thinking out loud there, I mean, because it just seems like everything goes up, we push it out. Instead of 18, it may be 20 or 22,000 by the time we get around to paving.
and the other question I had is the long, is what projects are we pushing out? What car path things are we delaying on that we're not gonna do?
Yeah, I don't have the right here to answer that, but I think once they have the ability to give us the square footage that they plan to replace this year, we get a bid, then we'll come to you, and then that's when we should ask for a bump in the line item for the
For the
car.
car path repair,
Right,
at that time,
because it may be less than what he needs.
gotcha, because that's for the whole year, maybe it's just an estimate, we may not need it.
He did say, there's a lot of car paths that need to be replaced, you're not gonna get them all.
Yeah.
And so, it's the, again, when you look at revising reserves, then we update the remaining useful life, and sometimes we do push things out a little bit that.
Okay.
So that's my recommendation, but we do whatever you wish.
Joel, is there money readily available that we could leave the money full car path funded for 50,000 and?
You mean if you
And
sort of include 54,000 for this year?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the budget for 2025.
It'd be an overspend of 18,144, but. How much
Yeah.
do you want to do?
18.
Yeah, so it would,
He needs 50,592, and the reserve line item is less than that.
it's 132.
So we need the $18,000 coming out of the cart path funds to add to the thoroughfare or Turco CR20.
Okay, so you're saying we have to have, 54,000, maybe it could be less.
Correct.
That's what you're saying, yeah. Okay, but my question is, when we spend that every year, we spend 50,000 a year on cart path. I mean, is that a given? I don't know.
Didn't
Well,
we
like-
even
like on
almost
the,
go over the first year, they accidentally measured.
Okay, so in that case, then let's leave it as is, like Mike suggests, we'll leave it as is, and then we'll increase the cart path funds if we need to. If it becomes an issue.
Yeah, that's the time.
I mean,
Yeah.
2024 is 54,080, 2025 is 50, we have 54,080 again, 2026, 56,243.
Okay, but we don't know yet, so.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking about.
No, that's good.
Very good, very good, thank you.
Okay, so we have the motion on the table, I'll reread it if you want to, reallocate $18,144 in capital funds from the 2025 surf park repair line to the top dresser asset number 1045 line item to complete the purchase of the 2025 Turco CR20 fairway top dresser. It was motioned by Linda, or Irene, and seconded by Linda. All in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, motion number 2 is move that the board of directors approve the allocation of $50,592 from SERF for purchasing a new turf coat CR20 variant top dressing for the third care department.
That's a whole time.
Fine. All in favor? That is unanimous. Okay, thank you very much for that. Take care of those items. Now we have our last item, item number 8, new business. Non-consent. For the new business, we have event approval for safety committee firewise and emergency preparedness event. Rick?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the safety committee is, in the throes of planning, that event for Monday, May 12th. We have, the Dance Farm Reserve, for a 6:30 start. About 8 o'clock in, so we have time to set up and, tear down. We will, last year, one of the presenters brought their own AV. They are not going to be able to bring their own AV this year, and then we had issues with it anyway. But so we'll need.
This is a Monday, Rick? Is this correct?
Yes. We will need to make a request. I reached out to Mike with this, see if he could look into finding out what the costs would be for AV. For a big screen, showing movie kind of thing.
We've done that the last year. I think we have the people we run thread and everything else. We're just getting in.
I know a big screen the church does that we use.
Yeah.
No, that great big screen that we use for even our presentations, that was rented. If you ask Joanne, that was rented special, yes.
But the church does that one.
So that's
When you say big screen, just are you talking big screen? Are you talking about a projector? Are you talking about flat panel?
It's a big flat.
Yeah, screen.
It's like, like a projector screen,
yeah.
like the old.
That way everyone up there can see, you know.
So, sorry, Rick, I was just.
No, so it's a projected.
Just like that, only bigger.
So that's the only anticipated cost that we have, is the rental. So the safety committee would appreciate the support of the board in putting that on. We may change the name of it, maybe called wildfire preparedness workshop or something like that.
Yeah. That's.
Very well received last year.
Yes, I attended last year. It was well done.
Oh, and well attended.
Yeah, so, if we can get, because we had a little bit of an issue with the AV equipment last year, the recording is difficult to follow and watch, and hopefully we can get a better recording this year and post it then and make it easily accessible to the members to look at later if they can't attend in person. We're going to try to format it a little different, allow more time for questions and answers, and try to get some homeowners who've gone through some of the fireproofing mitigation before and after kind of stuff to explain what they did and what was involved. So I think it'll be a good program.
Well, it'd be interesting too, and I was just thinking that escape routes from gates. I know that's been an issue with certain gates. And maybe
That'll probably be a separate, we're hoping maybe to have another presentation or two this year on some other topics.
Yeah,
or that is high on our list.
Yeah, excellent. So this is more of an announcement than anything else.
Yes.
Well, we really should approve it if we're gonna be allowing them to spend money.
Well, we're not allowing them.
All right, I move that the board approve the safety committee fire-wise and emergency preparedness event for May 2025.
May 12th.
Second.
Mark, who seconded that?
No problem.
Thank you, Rob. All in favor? That's unanimous.
Is it? AJ?
Oh, same. Oh, you're abstaining? AJ's abstaining, I'm sorry. Couldn't catch it. Everyone else was all in favor? Okay, very good.
What time is it starting in Rick?
6:00.
4 to 9. I thought so. 4 to 9.
That's the rental plan,
Oh, okay,
because we need time to set up.
Gotcha, okay.
So 6 to.
6:30, no, say. Excellent, thank you, Rick. All right, moving on, we have the approval request, recreation membership UC proposal. Kyle?
Okay.
Say your name now.
8 Barnview Drive. All right, let's look here.
Now, do you want the big copy?
I got it right here on my phone.
Okay.
Thank you. Right top, it's gonna be as big of a deal as it's like me. Currently, the recreation department's non-resident membership pricing structure is inconsistent with what we can enforce. While the monthly pool membership is priced at $50 for children and $75 for adults when it opens Memorial Day to Labor Day. Fitness center membership is only $35. However, due to the absence of amenity card reader or staff oversight at the pool entrances through the locker rooms, non-resident fitness center memberships inadvertently gain unmonitored access to the pool without paying the higher membership price that we would be charging when the pool is open. Basically with this, I was proposing that we move to a seasonal type of membership charge for non-residents, where it's just a blanket fee for non-residents, $35 during the months that the pool isn't open, and then it goes up to $50 for a kid, $75 for an adult in the summer when the pool is open. In addition to that, it would add an additional $8 fee for non-residents, and we would start issuing non-residents access cards that would be on a timer that we can control internally about. Once their membership is expired, they no longer can get in. The card would look very different. But it's a way to potentially have more if you're looking for that. I know we've had a couple of people decide not to move forward with it because they can't get in when we're not staffed. Because right now people can only enter with card when the times we aren't here, which is 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the weekends. Yeah, so the main reason is streamline entry for non-residents, make sure pricing is consistent and enforceable, and reduce the burden on staff for manual check-ins and stuff like that. Yes.
I'm just kind of wanting to address what was brought up tonight. We didn't lower any prices for non-members this year, did we?
No.
Because that was, it seemed that Jane thought that we were, non-members were paying less.
Right, prices did go up for daily passes for sure. I know daily pass went from $8.50 for the fitness center to $25. Pool went up a little bit as well as taking away some free entry for 0 to 5-year-olds. So it would be more. I can look into it. I haven't.
Okay, so it didn't go down and then kind of go and
no, I haven't checked monthly, but I can look up the monthly prices from last year to this year and see.
So maybe something that's incorrect on the website somewhere that it may be confusing.
Let me check.
And this is just to clarify, non-members only, and how many non-members, Kyle, you?
As of right now, we have 5 monthly memberships by people
It's
who
not
are.
it's not
No,
huge.
and it was, I think we went up 3 in the last month because we moved from an $8.50 right, $8.50 day pass to $25. They saw the difference, 25 per day pass, 35 for a month. I'm just gonna get a month.
Okay.
So it's minuscule by all means, but it definitely increases in the summer with the pool.
And do you think $8 is enough for your access card?
Yeah, because right now I believe I had Diane look into the price. I think she said it was something about $2 or between $2 to $3 for a card.
Okay.
At cost to us. So that's paying a little bit back of the administrative fee of setting it up, maintaining it, and then stuff like that. Annual check if they keep going month to month of extending it. Yeah.
Something you should think about too and add into that, what that fee is for a card.
Yep.
Is there's the monitoring that we pay every single month for that system. That's all, something to add in and think about.
Thank you, Linda.
Any other questions?
So the pool, the monthly pool fee.
Yep.
Obviously in the summer is what again?
$50 for a child this year, $75 for an adult for non-resident.
And so you're just gonna match that fee for the gym.
Correct.
But they'll have access to both the gym and.
Yes.
Exactly, they'll have access to both because
Yeah, it's not a double fee.
we can't,
So,
correct.
so the swim pass actually has access to both.
Yes, they both do, which is where that inconsistency came in, where if you pay $35 for a fitness pass, you get access to the pool.
No, yeah.
That's why I was saying maybe the blanket seasonal fee might just make more sense there, since you get both.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why we wouldn't want that to be
Makes sense.
consistent.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Oh, go ahead, AJ, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
We have 5 people that this applies to.
As of right now, yes, but we increased it significantly in the summer, and I wanted to get ahead of it now before that potentially happened in the summer and we were facing that issue.
How about the daily walk-ins, Kyle?
Daily walk-ins, those are also minuscule as well. Most of the walk-ins come from pool more than anything else.
It does look like we changed our planning fee schedules. We used to have a combined pool membership, gym membership.
Okay.
At one point, but
I was unaware
it's
of
hard to
that.
find old fines and fee schedules.
Right.
Because they're not readily published. I also feel like. Well, we haven't been provided a fines and fees schedule that actually shows what changes are being implemented, so. Kind of difficult to approve something.
This whole measure just says, the only thing this is doing that I understand. Is that we're gonna look at this, and the second motion says, move the board of directors authorize the GM and rec manager. To implement the proposed access fees and membership pricing. Following communication to members in a minimum 30-day member comment period. So until we go through, all we're doing is giving them that 30 days, as I understand it. Then you're gonna come back with something in writing. After that time, maybe you're gonna change your mind and you're gonna say, no, we're gonna do this instead. But all I understand is this is to open it up to the membership to comment for 30 days.
Yeah, let me ask what your motions are. So you have 2 motions on here. Your first motion is basically that, move that the board of directors just agrees with you, and that you're gonna have further conversations, dialogue about this, and bring it back to the board to be voted on or ratified, right? And then you have a second motion in here, which seemed to me that you wanted the board to just go ahead and authorize this. You're gonna go ahead and do these increases. You're gonna put out membership notice to these, I guess, 5 people. Let them know that the fees are gonna increase, but then you're still asking for a 30-day member comment. So it doesn't seem like anything you want the board to make a final decision on tonight, other than just approving you to go forward with making the changes.
I wanted to give you an option. That those are either or. So you can move that you authorize us to publish the details about the fee changes. I didn't know how controversial it would be.
I would think true controversial for non-members.
But I wouldn't give you the option of not being the new guy, not knowing. The first one says that we'll publish the details to the members, even though members doesn't affect them.
Yeah, it doesn't affect them,
Yeah, but we publish it, we're being transparent, and then the second one says that you authorize us to go ahead and implement it after we send it out to the owners and just say, hey, look, in 30 days, non-residents are gonna have to pay this fee. So it's an option. I should have explained that. Should have been an or.
Either or.
Yeah.
So then, so we don't need a comment period. If that's your intent, then move that the board of directors authorize the GM and recreation manager to implement the proposed recreation center access fees and membership pricing following communications to members at minimum 30-day notice is maybe what it should say.
Keeper.
Well, I'm just saying, because even if they comment back, it doesn't matter. We voted on the increase and they come back, we don't like it. Kind of tough, the price is what it is.
Well, but it says that before we ratify it, we're going to seek member comment.
I would just take out that whole thing out for pricing on motion 2, where it says following communication to members at a minimum 30-day member comment period. I would take that whole part out. Because we're talking about non-members, first of all,
Yeah.
it's like 8 people. Members are gonna be fine with charging non-members. They don't have a problem. So
Yeah.
I would just take that whole last bit out and just use motion 2 without that last part.
So strike after
pricing
recreation center access fees. Strike,
and membership pricing. Oh, and non-membership pricing.
right,
I guess what I was saying is normally when the fines and fee schedule is changed, a fines and fee schedule is provided to us to show us what the actual changes we're voting on.
He's
This is
correct.
not doing that,
Correct.
and it should happen before we approve anything, even if it is some comment period to the public.
Then
And it
perhaps-
does affect the members because these are the members' rules, even if it's costing money of non-residents. So. I'll make that
Well,
clear.
we postpone this request.
Members decide these rules, not the non-residents.
Rob?
Yeah, I think AJ's right here because that may have also, I'm not throwing any stones at anybody, but if that had occurred. I think some members may not have been confused or would have been very, because some members, I think, were thinking that this additional piece was gonna apply to them.
Yes.
And if the fee structure document had the verbiage that was gonna change in terms of monies or whatever, that helps clarify that. So, yeah.
The fine, just to, like, the fine and fee schedule would have to be revamped, because you're talking about, there's a section for the pool, there's a section for the fitness center, they are not in the same section, yet we're gonna have a fee that combines those two sections in some way, so. Like, we should see what that looks like before we actually approve it.
I agree with AJ.
I think I would make a motion to postpone this particular item. This approval request until the first March board meeting and then provide the necessary fee schedule information we need to have in order to vote on it.
Second.
All those in favor?
All in favor? I didn't see.
It was unanimous. This is,
It was all y'all.
it was all y'all, all y'all.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to C. Moving on to D.
We're almost done.
Approved request 2025 AGM election services contract, is this Rob?
Yeah, good talk it. Let me give you a little background and then if you guys have any questions, we can get into some questions. However you want to do it, Keith, whether you want. Do you want a motion to go out so we can have discussion or kind of get the background first? Or what would you like?
Well, okay, let me go to the motion, we can do that. We can just,
Options, I get it, else.
No, there really isn't, and you'll explain that.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and read this. So the purpose is to request the board to discuss there are two options for election services and approve one of the options for the Unilect Corporation contract to provide the SVCA 2025 election services. So I'm not going to read this word for word, but earlier this year, the board directed the GM and myself to work together in researching balloting options. We went forward with trying to negotiate a contract with Unilect, and we have had a couple of Zoom meetings with them, getting information. There's some information here in regards to analysis. We're looking at the current RCW and the bylaws. And rather than reading all of that, I will move that the Sun Valley Board of Directors approve option 1 to work with the Unilect election services, conduct our AGM election for option 1.
Rob, do you wanna explain what we found out about why initially there was, oh, you want the
I want a second.
Second, about a second for me.
Okay, so let me give you some.
Rob made the motion, got you, okay.
Everybody's looking at the proposal. So, I'll give you a little bit of background. If you guys recall, at the election certification last year, one of the items at the very end where it said opportunities for improvement, is we said we should look into the possibility of electronic voting. When Michael and I reached out to Unilect and started talking to them, we said, hey, we're interested in the possibility of electronic voting, but if we want it to be a hybrid, we want it to be where a member would get a paper ballot and they could choose whether to send that paper ballot back to Unilect, like we've done for years and years and years, or they could use the electronic ballot feature where they could just vote electronically. And Unilect said, yeah, we do that quite a bit. We do it with large labor organizations. We do it with some I don't want to say municipalities because there's laws that prevent electronic voting for like states and cities and whatnot, but like water districts and larger organizations like that. They work with a company called Ballot Buddy, where they manage that tool. So I'm kind of getting ahead. So what we told them was we would like to look at that. And we had a lot of questions around our bylaws, the RCWs, and the NNE manual, which we feel they were able to answer for us. So with that, if you'll see, there's option 1 and option 2. Option 2 indicated that 50% of our members would receive a paper ballot. And we thought, is this a proposal? And when we talked to them this week, they're like, no. That is, one of our directors that was with us on one of the Zoom meetings was asking about what kind of cost savings we could have. And they said, this is just a model to show you everybody, every 3,000 members or whatever we have getting a paper ballot versus half. If you found you got to the point where, say, half of your members wanted to do this, you could save somewhere around $8,000. Okay, so that option 2 is only them showing us a model. They never considered it to be something that we would entertain, knowing that we want to make sure everybody gets a paper ballot. Okay.
Is there an option where we start going into electronic voting? How do we transform ourselves into that?
So this is how it will, exactly that. So this is how it will look, Keith. Following our normal timeline, everybody gets mailed a AGM ballot package. There would be a paper ballot in there, an envelope. There would be a pamphlet, and in the instructions it would say, hey, you can opt out of mailing us back this paper ballot, and you can use a link to go in and vote. Okay. They told us very succinctly, if I vote electronically, all of my results go into their system, into Ballot Buddy. It's encrypted, it's locked down, and they can't go in and change the results, right? All they can do is if, let's say they got a paper ballot first, and this is our normal practice. Let's say that 2 people send about two ballots. The one that was received first is the one that's recorded, the other's destroyed. So if they see, we've already received an electronic vote for this property, now I've got a paper one that comes in, they would not count that paper ballot. That's what they do anyway with us. And they let us know that. They sent us a report.
And then next year the idea would be less paper ballots next year, 5 years from now less, or no, we're always gonna.
What it is giving our members an opportunity to see that, A, there's an opportunity for possible cost savings down the road, possible. Anybody who wants a paper ballot's gonna get one, right? And if we start to see down the road that there's these trends, then the boards could maybe make some decisions, because if they find that, hey, I'm sending out 3,000 ballots, but I'm only getting back half,
Yeah.
and the other half is electronic.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe you might look at possibility of asking people, would you like to opt in?
Well, I thought that's what we're doing this year,
No.
allowing them to
No.
opt in.
No.
Really?
Please go ahead.
No, there's a whole process for receiving any electronic information from Sudden Valley. It's already in our bylaws. And you have to sign a separate form that says, I don't want to accept my paper ballots anymore. I want it all electronic. You sign it, you put your email address in there, because that's what the valley would need for it.
Can we do that this year though, or no? Or
I think it's real, I think we're jumping the gun. Here's the problem with Keith, here's the problem with that. So we get a bunch of people to sign up for that. When you send somebody electronic votes, you send it once, let's say, I'm gonna give an example, somebody very recently that's been a long-term member here, who's had their email address for forever, and recently informed the association that she had a brand new email address. Well, let's say the old one's on file and we get a thing back saying they didn't receive this. So then you have to send a second notice, that's required. If you don't get a response to that, you are then required to mail a paper notification, whatever it is. So if you're voting and you've got this window in state law that says people have to receive their ballots and notification, you can easily overrun that and you're gonna nullify you could nullify an election. That's why I just, whenever we talk about that, I get really nervous. Because in theory, it would fall onto I would assume, our third party vendor to do all this email notification, because they're also the ones that basically determine when the mailings go out. So it's just a real iffy sort of a thing. If it were just mailing them a bill, I wouldn't worry about it, but it's voting.
Well, so let me just say something to help me help. If we are going to start entertaining electronic voting, we got to step into that a little bit, taking our time and doing it slowly. And what this contract is stating is every member will get a paper ballot. And some people may say, you know what, I don't trust electronic, I just want to keep doing it the way I always have.
I understand all that, what I'm asking, then is what you're saying, you get this ballot this year, and there's a paper in there that says, I can register for electronic. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
There's a paper in there saying, I prefer to go electronic, I don't need a paper ballot.
Yes.
But next year, so I signed up for that, but next year I'm gonna get a paper ballot again anyways?
In my mind, yes, because we need to slow walk this.
Okay, but even so, but the idea is to hopefully start getting people to sign, because there's no point in doing this, we're just gonna say in our mind, we're gonna keep going paper forever, what are we even talking about going hybrid for? There's no point in.
Well, there is a point in
We
it.
gotta transfer.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you. Here's why. Because people have to be able to lean into change and see where does it affect them.
So we are gonna change. That's my thing. If we're changing, that's great, but it's sounding like we're doing this, but we're intending to keep doing paper ballots forever, but it sounds like we're not. We're gonna want to switch over to electronic at some
In
point.
my mind, we would look at the trend of
Yeah.
how people respond
Yes.
and make adjustments to our planning accordingly.
Of course. Yes, go ahead.
So I didn't observe both or attend both calls. I was on one of them. And it was my understanding, from what both I've read, in our bylaws and the voting regulations is, it does require an opt-in. We can't just flip the switch and go 100%.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So my understanding is, an individual lot, representative for each lot, can opt in to not receive a paper ballot and vote electronically. And that's where the cost savings is, because you don't have the printing, you don't have the.
So it is. I think that would be our goal, to get everybody on this is.
So the question is, how quickly can we step into that phase of it? I know Rob and Linda are leaning very heavily against mailing everybody about the first year. I don't know what the timing is. The thing is, you'd have to create the opt-in well ahead of the deadline for mailing, so you know how many you had to mail. That's the thing. And so logistically, it's probably simpler to mail them all out, but I think letting people know that they can vote electronically this year, and then having that prior notice, and people could elect not to get a paper ballot the following year and vote electronically. I
Yeah,
think
you start making that database.
Yeah.
AJ,
Oh, go ahead, AJ.
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, is the goal really to eliminate them getting mailings altogether? I mean, certified mail is certified mail for a reason. You can't file a lawsuit against someone over email, or like serve them over email necessarily most of the time. Should the goal be, I mean, we could put something in this year's ballot packet, like a form that allows them to potentially opt out, but it's like a database again that's changing constantly as owners change, as people change email addresses. Like, sure, a lot of people are creatures of habit with their emails, but a lot of people who have grown up with email, like, create new ones, bounce around, whatever. Email feels a little unreliable to me. I'm not like diligent about tracking everything. You know, you get so much spam email after you enter your email into the first website that's sold to 1 million people. Seems like you could have a form, and it's like maybe some of the cost savings are just getting people to opt out, and they're still getting mailed a ballot packet every single year, but maybe they don't need return envelopes, return postage, some of those costs.
You might even just get a piece of paper that says it's time to vote, click on your link and vote.
You know, I mean, we're not talking about huge cost savings here in the grand scheme of things either, so I don't think like our elections are like highest priority for finding cost savings. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's more about efficiency than it is cost savings. I agree, but I think that should be the case. Yeah, everyone should get something mailed to them, right? You're gonna get that, and then there should be the option, right? You sign anything next year, you don't have to get this, you can opt in to do electronic if you want, and that would be great. Start seeing how people want to do that. Eventually, because you are correct, people do change emails and things like that. You can send a notice where there's a link, you know, it's time to vote. It's that time of year to to vote. Please click into the link at, you know, $7, blah, 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 and you go in that way. I don't know, I just spitballing as well. But at this point, anyways, a lot of conversation on this. So at this time, you want to go with the option one.
Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
Yeah, the option would be for those that select to have a electronic ballot. Before those ballots are sent out to the email address they provided, 2 weeks before the ballots go out, have them send a confirming email. Is this
Somebody's gotta track, yeah, it's just somebody's gotta track, it. That's the only thing.
you know?
So,
Go ahead.
I know it's getting late, but I just wanted to point out a couple of things the NNE committee has discussed. One being, we will, if you do approve this, the NNE committee is going to need to work with staff to have a really strong communication plan. Michael gave us a great outline that he's used in other HOAs when they went to hybrid voting. But it's going to be, we're going to need to find just about every avenue of communication, even up to talking to somebody when you run into them for coffee or something like that, of helping to answer the questions. And the other, I don't know, it'll come to mind, maybe I'll send you an email. This is I just want people to know that they are going to have the opportunity to vote like they normally have if they want.
Yeah, and that should always exist because a lot of people will not change.
There's there are people that are not going to want to get into electronics. Oh, I know, one last thing. Eddie brought up an interesting thing that I thought about. Maybe with electronic voting, we will see more of our members voting because it's easier.
That's my hope, is that more people will vote.
You know what? I don't want to fill out a piece of paper, especially with my ability to write these
So you
days.
gotta put it in the security envelope, make sure you sign it, do all that stuff.
Give me a QR code, give me the link, and I'm a happy guy. So,
Yeah.
You know, that's just me.
We'll know on November first, when you get the results of the election, how many voted online. You know, that'll also be a line item that will be in our election results, it'll go up on the screens and stuff. You know, we're down, last election, we were under 1,000 voting, just barely, but under 1,000 of us. Yep.
So Rob, again, just asked you want to go with option one, is that
Yes.
correct?
Option two was actually never something they proposed. They wanted to show some of us, hey, you could save, you could bring us down to like $14,000, you know, so.
So, yeah, so I think decreasing the cost is the secondary thing, the primary is trying to get more participation.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's
right?
always been our
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so the motion on the table, then I'm gonna read it to you, include option one, or did you already? Linda?
I said
so I
option.
didn't, we need to
Okay,
specify
so
that.
then I'm gonna read the motion, so move that the board of directors. Approve option one and authorize the general manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the association with Unilec. I'm sorry, I should have said, put Unilec in there somewhere, move that the board of directors.
Approve option one with Unilec Corporation.
Yeah, approves. Option one with Unilec. And authorize the general manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the association. All in favor?
I'll second it too.
Well, we have.
Well, keep your time, yeah, all right, we're kind of.
Okay, so I'm gonna change it, I have Robin and Lindsay, right, I'm gonna keep them timing. I'm gonna keep them timing, you know. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys very much, that was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I think that was
That's it.
Okay, great, thank you very much, we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 8:47 p.m. A good meeting, appreciate everybody's feedback.
Thank you.
No way, it's 8:45.
Good, I know, and you were saying, I know it's running late, I was like, you were doing good.
Well, this is one thing, I'll get the here before I back a little bit.
How was it?
I can't do it.
I was like, dude, yeah.
Hey, have some cookies, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Spent 9 hours.
Little bars are good,
Yeah, bank repair.
there's napkins there.
Bunch of stuff.
You're gonna need a napkin.
Where you wanna go?
Including where they actually, yeah.
Yeah, we got it. That's how we started.
It's where they actually met. This is the whole.
Oh, you see.
I know, I know when, I
You
know.
stay in there and stay?
Yeah.
Still, I'm not going for it.
It's all.
Yeah, it's not work, and that was.
You want to take it
Yeah.
out?
But this is another for. It's just another word, there's one. Just
Yeah.
Once